It's okay. I understand. It's fine.
Okay, welcome back. So our last group D just went, so now we are concluding with our final portion, which is the green light presentations. Now these are games that our students in the studios have been working on all semester, so we're all definitely excited to see what you guys have. So without further ado, let's get you started first.
Hi everybody, my name is Austin Harrington. I'm the director for Monster Vault Entertainment and team lead on Communication Meltdown. Communication Meltdown is a game that we started late last year. We greenlit this semester and we've worked 14 weeks on in production studio. To start, go ahead Tyler. Let's talk about what the game is. So Communication Meltdown is a multiplayer VR puzzler in the style of Keep Talking and No One Explodes or Star Trek Bridge Crew. So what does that mean? That means this is a game about giving and receiving instructions. In our game, one player will be given instructions visually. He or she will have to communicate those instructions to the other 3 members on his team, his or her team, in an attempt to solve a common goal. In this case, restarting a coolant pump on a nuclear reactor. This is a game being developed for the Oculus Rift and HTC Vive. We are building it in the Unity game engine. And as I said, it is developed by Monster Vault. Go ahead. I'd like to show a short video showing off the progress we've made this semester, and I'll kind of talk through it. Can we mute it?
What is love?
All right, so we started with the prototype. This is the prototype we built at the Founders Game Jam last year. We ended up greenlighting off of this prototype, and so we went in and we created a new environment. This is the beginnings of the reactor that you'll see throughout the video. We got multiplayer going, and we rapid prototyped what our core gameplay is. So as you can see, one player is looking at images. Those images are on buttons that we prototyped, and another player is going through, taking instructions and pressing those buttons. Once we got that core prototype kind of done, we decided we'd start working on our local movement system. So as you can see, we use inverse kinematics to basically motion capture what players are doing. So this is a multiplayer game. We want to create a really social environment. Moving on, we started working on tech art, and so as you can see, we've got some scripted shaders for our coolant, for our glass. We've got particle effects as well. So here we started getting in our interactive assets. This is more what our control panels are going to look like, the players will be interacting with. And finally, every multiplayer game needs a game lobby. And so this is our game lobby. It's an employee lounge / locker room / bathroom that players will wait in until the start of a round or after a round. And so as you can see, we've got a bunch of just things that we can interact with, things you can pick up and throw at other people. We've got spray bottles that you'll be able to spray cleaner at people. We'll be able to wash our hands. As you can see, not all of that is wired up yet. That's stuff that's still in production. We'll be able to play darts. One of the things that we are really trying to focus on is comedy. Stancing this game is a comedic game. And so we have a lot of little references to the team. We have a character named Dave the Engineer that's leaving notes all over the office and so on and so forth. But overall, I'm really, really impressed with what we've been able to get done this semester. This is 14 weeks of work. That's just insane to me, and I'm so proud of my team that is here for all of the work that they've done. On to the next slide. So that's basically it. As you can see, we've got our social media listed. One more thing, I would be remiss to end this presentation without talking about investment opportunities. We are looking for investment, whether that be venture capitalism, angel investing, equity investing, whatever. So if anyone here is interested in investing in a local software company that is coming up, please talk to me after the event. Thank you so much for your time. I think you guys are going to be really impressed with the other games.
Alright you guys, so as we get our PowerPoint booted up here, I have a question for you. Go ahead and go right to the beginning. There you go. Alright, so, in endless run games, do you ever get tired of being the hero? Do you ever feel forced to play the victim of the eternal game of chase? What if for once you could play into your darker side and play the villain and fight back against law and order? Only a handful of endless run games offer the ability to fight back, and even fewer offer a villainous perspective to the player. Different spins on the same old stories, rescue the princess, escape the jungle, pick up the coin, have lost their exhilarating novelty and have become predictable, leaving players numb, anesthetized, and susceptible to becoming bored. Buzzkill brings a breath of fresh air to this playfield, and upon shipment will become one of the few in its class to offer players the experience to play as the villain with a new sense of purpose. Offering campaign mode alongside its endless run, our antagonist's story and motives are revealed to the player through the experience of play, and it fills that void of what am I doing here with the satiating purpose of evil vengeance. To accomplish this project, our tenacious team of developers has been utilizing Axosoft, GitHub, and the programs of Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop. Our programmers have been writing in C# to manipulate the behaviors of everything in our game world, and our artists have applied their talents, as I said, through Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator. Our target demographic encompasses a broad spectrum of ages, but whose population is mostly concentrated in ages 7 to their mid-20s who enjoy endless runners. These are people who own a smartphone for gaming purposes and are enthusiastic about endless run games. They're going to be really up to date with the newest games that are out in the market, and Buzzkill is the answer to their search. Games that are most similar to Buzzkill include games such as Subway Surfers, Temple Run, Super Mario Run, and Lara Croft Relic Run. These are products that we'll be competing with on the market, and while these games are well respected, Buzzkill still stands out among them with its perspective and mechanics. So our product, it is already loaded in the video. Sorry, can I keep it for 5 minutes? And then if you hit the little cog and go to 1.5 speed, please. So this is our campaign mode. This is going to develop Ego's personality and reveal the psychology of what's going on. He is a low-standing being in the society. He's the tiniest one, as you can see, and that gives him this Napoleon complex. At one point, after he's been berated by his colleagues, he decides to go into the airport, and the final straw breaks his back. And as you can see, he's called Little, and he goes on a rampage. He just annihilates this airport as soon as our people load on the screen. We tried to keep it short for the sake of the video, but he's lost his mind. And so that's really the premise of the game. And then as he returns to his hive, you can just click forward just a bit if you could. Thank you. He is, again, berated for his behavior. He's told that he's brought the hive into danger. And his best friend Stripes decides to give him an out. He says, if you can dodge the raindrops, you and I will go to the airport together. And so they do, which is not a good idea. As Ego is intent on singing people, Stripes decides to antagonize our dog, which does not end well. I will let you read this sad story for yourself. Just skip forward a bit. They die. Excuse me, that was a spoiler. All right, and there we are. So we've also developed our user interface through this semester. It's been an amazing job with our team, and getting all of these things implemented. We are really developing our skill sets. This is our first game that we're making, and we're very excited to present it to you today. You can go ahead and go back to the PowerPoint if you would. This game would not have been possible without the incredible dedication and work of our teammates. So I'd like to take a moment just to introduce them to you. These are programmers Fred Hunt, Nicholas Seropian, Kathleen Charles, Adam Toothbun, Caitlin Hillard, of course, Naomi Law, and Tyler King, Chris Stevens, myself, Kalana Lee, and Zach Patton. We've been going 110% throughout the semester, and thank you so much for the opportunity for us to show you our work today. So thank you.
No, don't run it.
Do what?
Alright, these computers slow. One sec.
It's thinking.
Yeah, it is.
It's putting out a virus.
Probably.
Everybody else's program gets eaten.
Ow!
Fume can at the bottom.
No, I didn't. It did, but
It's on the wrong string.
please. Not having the Unity window. Awesome. Thank you. You to the rescue. Okay, so project that me and my team have been working on this whole semester is called Gangsta Graffiti. I'm Dakota Stoner. I know one of my artists, Jessica. She's been working on the character models and the tanks that you will see. We have Ben, a programmer. I don't know who. I don't see anybody else in here besides Roger, project lead. But so Gangsta Graffiti is a multiplayer arena shooter. It takes place in a comic book world where a gang war has erupted, and you are part of the gang. You are a gang member fighting for your side to control the turf. So this semester we've been working on our city and the game mode Turf Tag. Yeah, that's good. So this semester we worked, like I said, working on just getting the city set up and getting standard tank control and painting and all of that. We do not currently have painting for the tank, but our character model, our regular human player, will paint on surfaces. But so far we have this, and also as the human you can paint, you can tag surfaces with your emblem decal to control the buildings. We do not have getting out of the tank yet, but that is close. You can die and respawn.
Self-destruct.
Yeah, if there was another player in there, if I had a second player joined in, we can fight each other and die. We have our tutorial level, which James Matthew was working on, which he made all the art in here besides the tank. It's looking good, and you can paint on objects. And then we have our decal editor, which you can make your own decal. So it needs a lot of work, but you can save it, and when you're in game and you walk up to a building that you're supposed to control, you will tag it, and you will start controlling it with whatever decal you decide to make. So, thank you.
So, you guys probably noticed I'm not Ian. Ian can't make it today because he had a work schedule that he couldn't avoid. I'm Bryce Mangus. I am the lead art goblin for a lot of our studios. And Firebreak is a game that we've been working on this last semester through the production studio. So what is Firebreak? Firebreak, we've actually had a couple of name screens for it set up before. The one that we've decided on is the isometric sci-fi shooter game. It's got mechanics for combat similar to Dark Souls with more of a play feel of Shadowrun, Mass Effect, and XCOM. Lovebird Studios is who we are. We started the game earlier this year, back in January, although it was the brain baby of Dave Engelman and Ian Goldsmith about a year ago at GDC. They decided to make it. So like I said, we began it earlier this semester. When we did do Greenlight, most we had was documentation. We had a very basic demo build put together that was mostly just a white box with very basic character controller running around, opening and closing doors and shooting at enemies that never died. This past semester, through the production studio with everyone that we had quite a bit get done. We have lots of art assets that we now have and are working on getting them implemented into the game. But for the most part, what we're mostly proud of is we've got a lot of UI stuff set up and done. We can see the different UI screens for combat, player HUD, and everything. We've got working stat blocks and kind of a shop menu to upgrade and buy stats for your character. We've got the levels set up for the main hub level, which you can see here, which is going to be the player ship, as well as inventory working. You know, pick up objects, have them saved into your inventory, and be able to interact with that. We also have the mission select working, so now we can go in on the ship level, go to the mission select, pick your mission that you want to play in, and then go into the mission, which you can see here, which is the first few steps that we've been taking to get our first actual story mission put together. Long-term production for what we're doing after this, we still fully intend on releasing at the end of this year. We definitely need to get a lot more done, because at this point we have a number of paper maps for levels that we're going to start to try to implement now that we have the mission select bit set up. We have all the HUD and everything set up. We're just working on implementing it through C++ instead of Blueprint to optimize it better. And for release goals, we're trying to get character customization in, squad customization, definitely online multiplayer, because it's not going to be much of a multiplayer game if we don't have multiplayer working. And then, of course, by January of next year, hopefully release on Steam. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys for listening, and hope you guys enjoy the rest.
Lead of Seedbus, which has been running in production studio for this last semester. I am not as good at making presentations as everyone else, so I just have a video it's going to play while I talk over it. So this is kind of just like a demo video of what we had when we started and where we are now. So yeah, where we were, we just had like a really simple prototype to start a semester, just basic bot building. Just a couple of blocks that you can stick together and save, and that was really it for the bot builder at this point in time. Just skip ahead. And our state machine editor, it was again really simple. You only had a few actions and you can connect them together, and it worked for the most part. Even though like the system was all effed up and didn't work really well, but that's where we were. Where we are now, the bot builder has been improved quite a bit. We have a lot more pieces to choose from. Still got a couple of placeholder things in there, but it's coming along pretty well here. Added snap rotation and various things of that nature. You can delete parts now, so that's cool. But yeah, you can just build your bots, save them. And the state machine editor is where a lot of the work came from this semester. It's a lot more expandable now, so our actions that the player can use to make their AI can be grabbed from any part in any function that we want them to have. Just really simple, adding functionality to that state. Choose the different pieces. It's just really quick making a state machine that does things. A lot of people were really impressed with the Bezier curves. So this state machine, what it shows is basically it'll scan for targets, move towards the targets, and when its health is less than 50%, then it'll just spin around in circles. So our biggest recent feature was parameter-based functions, so that it's much more expandable now. You can take user input into the functions themselves. Skip ahead is just that bot. Our physics are still a bit broken. We're working on it. Towards the end, they just start spinning in place, stop moving. So that's when their health is less than 50%, showing that everything works correctly. And that's what we've accomplished this semester. I guess I should have talked a bit more about Jerry's level. He's done a great job. But yeah, thank you. Make sure to follow us on social media and all that stuff.
Awesome. Hello, my name is Alex Wall. I'm the lead for Reign of Rebellion. This is a project that has been running in game production studios for 4 semesters now. This is actually our last game production studio. So, a little bit about where we started. We started out with 2 industry professionals, Doug Downey and Daryl Warford. They came to UAT looking to help basically students understand, give them, they want us to learn from their experiences. And alongside that, they want to build video games. So they came to the game production studio, pitched a prototype with just a GDD and a little bit of documentation, other documentation. And then from there, they built a team, and we've been working with them since spring of 2016. Yeah. So we are an online third-person action-based team-based combat game. We use a variety of classes and abilities. Something similar to us would almost be Overwatch or any of the other games like that. We use Photon for our online system. We use Unity to build everything in. Our art style for the game is realistic. We want to go for a medieval fantasy type of art style. We have 2 teams against each other, a steampunk team and a fantasy team. Where basically there's this long-lasting conflict between the 2 teams, and then they basically fight it out throughout different types of maps and stories. We're going for themed weaponry so that each class is unique and has their own art style to them. We've had challenges along the way, such as new team members, like getting them up to speed, learning new roles and skills, people not knowing different type of things and then having to learn them. Game-breaking bugs, which we all have, and then implementation of features. This is where we've been. This is some of our past iterations of Reign of Rebellion so far. The top right one was our first semester, and the bottom left was last semester for us. And this is our final prototype for Reign of Rebellion. The reason that we are not running anymore is because Doug and Daryl are wanting to take this to investors and hopefully try to get some investment into it and get an actual more game of it going. If you guys would like to see gameplay or actually play it out, we'll be here on Friday during the Greenlight celebration event this Friday. So please, everyone come out, come play our game. Yeah.
Humanity is under attack. Beset by giant monsters from parts unknown, the only thing that stands between mankind and utter extinction are the brave men and women who pilot the giant robots we've built to defend ourselves. This is not Pacific Rim, or Lost Planet, or Into the Breach, or any of these other movies, TV shows, and games. But obviously, people like giant robots, giant monsters, and they love it when you have them fight. So I'm Donald Shepis, and this is Trident. Trident is a turn-based cooperative game where you and 4 friends engage in strategic combat against the Leviathan, giant monsters controlled by a 5th of your friend who's trying to wipe you out and destroy the universe. This is a game you can play at home with your friends physically in a board game format or on the go as a mobile game. So how did Trident start? Because it sounds like a Pacific Rim ripoff. Well, it is. Justin Crow is a hobbyist board game maker up in Canada. He's been doing it for about 20 years. And I had the opportunity to play his Pacific Rim fan game, and it was a fantastic experience. I had 3 other friends, and we were playing the Jaegers, he was playing the Kaiju, and we were trying to wipe him out. We had this macro strategy where we had to deploy our Jaegers across the Pacific Rim to defend it. And we also had to be individually clever about how we used our Tridents, or our Jaegers, too many names, Jaegers in combat. And it was something that we were always engaged, because even if I wasn't in that fight, how they did influenced the entire course of the war. And so I thought, well, this sounds like a great game, and we're never going to get the licensing from Legendary to make a Pacific Rim, so let's turn it into our own setting and release it. So that's when I pitched it to the Greenlight Studio, and this is the first physical game that we've had in the Greenlight Studio. We had a couple of goals this semester. First, we wanted to revamp the rule set. It used to be the Kaiju would win 9 out of 10 times, but that's no fun. We needed to balance it, make it as challenging for the Leviathan player as for the Trident player. We had to add new flavor and descriptions. We can't use any of the Pacific Rim stuff, so we have to make it our own world, which allows us a lot of freedom. We had to work on the layout. We had to make the general rule document for the Tridents and the Leviathans, and then just the rules in general that both use, really easy to understand and readable, so that way you don't need me sitting there and explaining to you so you'd be able to play. We also had to redo the Trident and Leviathan character sheets. We want every piece of this game to be something that you look at it, you understand it, and you don't need it explained to you. And we want it to be incredibly usable. You shouldn't have to have a scrap piece of paper where you're tracking everything else on the side. We should be providing everything you need to play the game from the get-go. And we're also building the actual physical play pieces. We're prototyping out what we're going to use and what we're going to send to a manufacturer once we get funding to actually start building units. We had to build a system map where you have your macro strategy as well as all the tile sets for the individual battle maps. 3D printed tokens for the Tridents, Leviathans, and conventional units. And all of that we had to do in this semester so that way we had something that we could start taking around and showing off to people. On the digital side, well, we're just worrying about tools for the moment because until we have an audience, no one cares about a mobile version. So we built a dice roller because the hardest thing to do is to make the feeling of playing this game at home the same as playing it on the go of mobile. And so we needed a combination of haptic feedback and audio feedback to have the most authentic feeling dice roller we could possibly create. We also wanted to try out our customization system. In the board game, when you say, I've got a big old sword attached to the arm of my Trident, no one sees that. But in a digital game, we can do that. And so we wanted to create a model for both a Leviathan and a Trident, create some sets of arms, legs, torsos, and heads, and start seeing how the system for swapping those in and out is going to work. Well, we had a lot of great success this semester on the physical side. We've pretty much done everything we need to say, okay, this is version 1, let's start showing this to people. On the digital side, it's been a little tougher, but as I said, you need to build an audience before you can actually release anything that people are going to care about. And so that's kind of where our progress is sitting at. We have different characters that we've built. We've ultimately landed with this 80s anime style. It's the type of style that people who grew up watching old kaiju movies are going to love. And it's something that's been getting a bit of resurgence lately. We had to build all new maps for both the strategic and battle, and we've got everything. And I'd love to show you more, but you don't want to sit there and watch the rules. But if you come to Friday at Greenlight, you'll be able to actually play Trident with other people there. So we have our playable physical prototype, we have our digital tools, and the next steps are building an audience. We're going to be taking Trident to conventions, to expos, to local gaming stores, doing everything we can to get Trident in people's hands so they can see how much fun it is and build that audience. You'll be seeing more from us on social media soon, but I hope at the end of the day, when you see Trident in full, I'll be able to count you all as fans. Thank you.
I believe that wraps it up. So those are the projects that are in the studio right now. And I guess that's it. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.